You ever feel like you're just one candlestick pattern away from finally cracking the market's code? You see a hammer or a shooting star, and they seem to promise so much. But let's be honest, if it were really that easy, we'd all be millionaires. The truth is, most traders get completely obsessed with these patterns and they miss what actually makes a difference. Today, we're going to dig into the 9 traits that truly separate the pros from everyone else.
So think of this as a kind of myth-busting journey for traders. We'll start with why patterns are so appealing, and then we're going to pull back the curtain and show you why they can be a trap. We'll uncover 3 huge psychological pitfalls that sink most traders, and more importantly, we'll lay out the winning traits that help you avoid them. By the end of this, you're going to have a clear, actionable framework. Let's jump in.
For as long as there have been markets, people have been desperately trying to find an edge, some way to decode the chaos and see what's coming next. And for so many, the most powerful language they've found is the candlestick chart.
And hey, this isn't some newfangled tech. Candlestick charting was actually developed way back in 18th century Japan by rice merchants. They had this incredible insight that price movements weren't just random numbers. They were a direct reflection of human emotion, pure fear and greed. Candlesticks were their genius way of visualizing that psychology. See, every single candlestick tells a story. That thick part, the body, shows you where the price opened and where it closed. Green means the buyers won that round. Red means the sellers were in control. And those thin lines, the wicks, those are like the battle scars, showing you the absolute highest and lowest points of the fight. It's an entire market battle, all wrapped up in one simple shape.
And when you start lining these candlesticks up, you begin to see patterns emerge. A hammer, like you see on the left, kind of hints that buyers are starting to push back. A hanging man, on the other hand, suggests sellers are taking over. And this is the tempting part. The idea that if you just memorize these shapes, you can predict the future. But that, right there, is where the trouble begins.
This is the moment where the path splits. Losing traders look at patterns and see a guarantee. Winning traders see them for what they actually are. Let's really dig into that difference.
This is the big question, isn't it? Can you just memorize a bunch of patterns and print money? Well, the short answer is a hard no, and here's the reason why.
Now, don't get me wrong. This doesn't mean patterns are useless. You absolutely have to understand them. It's like learning the alphabet of the market. And that right there, that's winning trade number 1. Winning traders are fluent in the market's language. They get what the patterns mean, but they don't just blindly follow them.
This slide absolutely nails it. Patterns are road signs, not a GPS. They give you a heads up, maybe a warning, but they do not tell you exactly where to turn. And this is winning trait number 2. Winning traders treat patterns as probabilities, not certainties. They see a hammer and think, this might be a good spot, not, oh, this is a guaranteed win.
In fact, when researchers have actually put these patterns to the test, what do they find? A whole lot of them have a success rate that's basically no better than a coin flip. Think about that. If your entire strategy is built on something with 50-50 odds, you're not trading, you're gambling. And that's why just hunting for patterns is a losing game.
So if patterns are just road signs, how in the world do you actually navigate the market? Well, this brings us to the first huge mistake that so many traders make and the next 2 winning traits that help you avoid it. It's all about trading with a real mathematical edge, not just hope.
Okay, meet Tom and Sarah. Tom, he trades on gut feelings. He thinks he's a pretty good trader. Sarah, on the other hand, she's like a data scientist for her own trading. She tracks every single trade. And this gets to the core of winning trait number 3. Winning traders are rigorously data-driven. They don't guess, they know their numbers cold. And winning trait number 4, they forward test their strategies in real time. They prove their edge with actual data, not just wishful thinking. See, Sarah has a real edge. Tom is just hoping.
So let's get real for a second. Ask yourself, are you a Tom or are you a Sarah? What is your exact win rate over your last 100 trades? What's your average winning trade versus your average losing trade? If you can't answer these questions with hard numbers, then you're trading on hope. And in the markets, hope is a very expensive strategy.
Now, here's a crazy thought. Even if you have a proven statistical edge, you can still lose money. How is that possible? It happens when you let your emotions dictate your bet size. This is a massive trap that nearly every trader falls into at some point. So this is Lisa. After a nice win, she's feeling on top of the world, totally invincible. So she bumps up her risk. But then that bigger trade loses, and suddenly she's scared. So what does she do? She slashes her risk way back. Then she gets a few small wins, but because her risk was so tiny, it barely makes a dent in that big loss. Do you see the problem? She's winning small and losing big. Her emotional sizing is completely wiping out her statistical edge.
So how do winning traders avoid this? Well, this is where the next 3 traits come into play. Winning trait number 5, they use a fixed mechanical position sizing strategy. Period. No exceptions. Winning trait number 6, their risk is never ever based on how they feel. They don't bet bigger because they're confident or smaller because they're scared. And winning trait number 7, they never improvise their risk. That perfect A+ setup gets the exact same risk as any other. It's all about consistency.
All right, let's talk about maybe the most overlooked reason that traders fail. What if your strategy is actually great, but it's just not great for you? What if you're constantly trying to trade in a way that goes against the very core of your own personality? Let's take Alex. He's an action junkie. He needs to be in the game. But he's trying to trade this super slow, patient strategy. He's literally fighting his own instincts every second of the day, and it's just destroying his account. The solution wasn't for him to have more self-control. It was to find a different strategy. And this brings us to winning trait number 8. Winning traders are deeply self-aware. They know their strengths and they know their weaknesses. And then there's Sarah. She hates uncertainty. It stresses her out. But she's trying to trade breakouts, which are all about sitting through these really uncomfortable swings. Her anxiety just takes over and she ends up bailing on perfectly good trades way too early. This leads us to our final and maybe the most important trait of all. Winning trait number 9. Winning traders align their strategy with their personality. They don't try to change who they are. They find a way to trade that actually fits them. This is a question you really have to sit with. Be honest. Does your trading method require a level of patience you just don't have? Or maybe a tolerance for risk that makes you feel physically sick? If the answer is yes, you've set yourself up for a battle you probably can't win.
Okay, so we've torn down all the problems. Now, let's move to the final section and build it all back up into a powerful, actionable framework that you can actually use.
So let's put it all together. It really boils down to these 3 core pillars. Pillar 1 is your edge. This covers being fluent in the market's language, treating patterns as probabilities, being data-driven, and forward testing. That's traits 1 through 4. Pillar 2 is your risk. This is all about using a fixed position size, taking emotion out of the equation, and never improvising. That's traits 5, 6, and 7. And finally, pillar 3 is you. This is about self-awareness and aligning your strategy with your unique personality, our last 2 traits. If you can master these 3 pillars, you are well on your way to becoming a consistently profitable trader. And in the end, it all comes down to a really simple shift in your mindset. Are you just a hobbyist, constantly hunting for the next magic pattern that's going to solve all your problems? Or are you a professional, focused on building a real trading business that's based on data, discipline, and self-awareness? The choice is yours.